Hello traders, this is Alex with the StockMatrix program. Had a few trades today, or actually yesterday, probably some more today. I won't have those updated. We'll look through the charts and see. But here is my X account, which I have these trades already put on right here. So you can review that, kind of the normal intro here. Let's go to the portfolio. Here is the bar chart portfolio. They did fix I had a little problem with Amazon. I don't know, zeroed everything out and it wouldn't go out. It wouldn't keep track of the trades correctly. Anyway, they did correct that, so I went back in and changed them. But you can see the portfolio has dropped. You know, we had a high of like 58, maybe 60 grand. I don't know, something like that. Which doesn't matter, right? It's the closed positions that's key. And you can see we're up 8%, 11% total profit, which again isn't off the table yet. If this is a major low in the stock indexes, then more than likely we'll give back a chunk. Now again, we've taken trades off, so they can't take it away. We did roll a few down because of this and that. So, you know, just managing the portfolio, right? So it's basically an index. You got to manage it. Again, I plugged in 150 grand just out of looking up, see what an average stock account is. So again, that's not really necessary. But we've had, again, the total fees shows here 60. Now what that is I charge $1 fee per trade, so I know how many trades I put on. I've got 60 trades exited and on currently. So that's why you see that. So if you see a different number, we have more trades. Shouldn't be less. Okay. You can see we took off Coinbase, which was a great short. You know, we had puts on and we got out of those and actually bought calls now. And you can see that right here. You know, one of the uglier ones, right? It was down 50%, 55 maybe. So it was definitely an ugly trade. It was a good short. It took some time, and now we are now long. The Coke was a loser. It's been in that chop, and now we're long Coke at new all-time highs. And we'll review the charts here. Let's go to them right now. Okay, let's look at the statistical page first. This is the program, StockMatrix statistical program. Okay, let's go to the statistical page first. You can see that the moon period we're in is in the new moon, which again is important to me, right? That's one new moon past the solar eclipse, which again is a new moon, right? So it's kind of the cycle that's important to me, and that's on the 27th. And so again, it falls on the weekend. So again, Friday, Monday are still important. Eventually that'll move, but so you can see we're about 25 days now past the solar, and we did have a couple annuals coming in, not as many as normal. We did make one new high that was in Coke. And we do have a few of them that are 900 is the number, right? That's over here you can see I've got it listed. 900 is the next cycle of 45. Yeah, to me that's important, right? Calendar days, that's what Gann used to use, WD Gann. So let's go to the stock trades quick. Again, we do have two up. Again, we had them all down long term. Every one of them are down until now. So now we're starting to bend the corner. Again, possible lows on the index. Now we don't know that yet. You can see, let me get over here. Again, I don't normally publicize this, but it's kind of just my cheat sheet to kind of know where we're at. Right now, this is the total value of the index, and I believe the low is 3. Now, again, it might have been lower than this. I didn't click it every time. 372 looks like the lowest one on the other day. Oh, yeah. So anyway, that was the low, and we just came off of it, and a few of them spun. So you can see we have short term. We have 7 down, 13 up. So kind of important, right? We, you know, two of them finally changed it, which, you know, Coke makes sense. That's kind of a safe play. So let's now review the charts. We'll quickly go through the stock matrix charts. Now, again, I know some of this is repetitive, but I do everything on the square of 9 for pricing and the quarter moons for time. So it's a WD Gann thing that I like, and it's different, right, which I also like. So you can see I kind of keep track. This low on NVIDIA, which NVDA did come in 360 degrees, right, or basically one moon year from the previous low. So, and it also 90 degrees over from the secondary high, 135 degrees over was the lowest close. So again, all pretty important, right? Now, NVIDIA hasn't proven that it's going to go up yet. So I believe the resistance, of course, will be the solar eclipse. Now, again, that doesn't mean we can't pop it out and then come back to it and be support. Now, this other previous solar eclipse is right here as well. So that would make some kind of sense, you know, get the systems along. That'll be kind of the area where I would look forward to seeing if I could go there. Here's Meta, you know, the bull of bulls to the bear of bears, big outside sequence down, that followed through, you know, busted, you know, we went short here, right? So now our stops are here. Now the next moon period will lower them down here, so not a whole lot. But again, every little bit helps. The solar eclipse is up a little higher, so it makes sense that we could turn the short-term trend up, which would be up in here, right? And maybe hit this resistance. You know, stop might still be good. We don't know yet. Here's Coke, the one that made new highs, and the system went long. Here was our stop. You know, you can see we've had several trades, chopper. Volatility goes up, so the calls and puts cost a little more. Not substantially. So it's definitely okay. Here's your 1-to-1 on these, and they're definitely in line. But again, it's tough for me to buy new highs in Coke. I would rather, if I was a trader, right, and not trading my system, I would be looking to buy dips only in Coke. Here's Google. Again, you can see that the market had the bullish pattern, fell back. The next zone, which is I think is important, oops, sorry, is 90 degrees, which is the next moon period. So if it could sit here and not get hammered would be the most bullish thing and get that time in place. Stops are here, and they'll stay there for forever until at least 3 moon periods. So here's Microsoft. Again, same situation. Stops are relatively high. You know, we're short here, so we're going to make a little bit, unless, you know, gaps or something. Here's Amazon. Again, pretty wide range, but stops are here. We'll get moved down to here next moon period, basically on Friday, or, you know, over the weekend when I do it. You know, we've got a pretty good profit in here, not a ton, but again, we'll leave quite a bit on the table on all these actually. Here's Apple. Again, trend was up. Now it's short-term trends down. The system's still short. Now, again, we will be moving the stop to here Friday over the weekend. So unless it, you know, gets higher. So again, it's very possible if we get a strong push that we could get up into this solar eclipse close. Now it's about 9 o'clock on Wednesday in the morning. So the markets are open, and we'll look through the daily charts and get a little better view because again, these were updated before the opening. Here's Tesla. A stop up here. Again, these are one of the negative ones. We got good profits in that, you know, from here to here. And the stops will go here Friday or Monday or whatever. And here's Lynn. Look at that tail, bull trap or bear trap, excuse me. And just a massive move up. Again, that's going to be a loss because the stops are still at new highs. So pretty wild there, actually. Here is ED. Again, stops over the new highs. Again, that's one of the safe plays. And I assume if we get stopped out and go long, that'll probably be the first candidate. And maybe it's already done it this morning. And we'll see when we pull up the daily charts. Adobe, the bear of bears, you always sell it prior to the report or buy puts prior to the quarterly report because their AI is broken. You can see the stops are here. Stops will get moved down to here if it don't get jiggled around too much. So that'll be interesting. Now I'm guessing that by Friday we could be, you know, get it up in here, and that'd be my guess. Stops will get moved to here then or something, right? Here is IBM. You can see that's a loser if we get stopped out. Now if the highs hold, you know, the stops will get moved to here by Friday. And again, pretty important. You know, at least that'll be a break even or maybe a small profit. You know, manageable, right? All these stops now are manageable because it didn't go up right away. It took some time for this low to develop. You know, if it's a low. Here's BK again. Actually, one of their safe plays, but did turn pretty bearish. Got short here. We got break even, maybe a little loss, but the stops will get moved to here or whatever highs might be between now and Friday. Here is Procter & Gamble. Again, chopper. I've mentioned, you know, we had a bear trap, which was an easy buy. I think this is a trader, and I've been mentioning that the whole time. Same way with a lot of these. I haven't, you know, I won't talk yet. Let me get through these charts. Here is where the stops will get put. JPM. We'll have a little profit, but we'll give back a ton of money if it does get us long. Coinbase. Now this was a trade we just had, and you can see that the stops got pulled down. We sold it here, so it was a great trade. The puts made good money. You know, 800% or something, right? So again, people like to talk percentages. So now you can see that we broke through this solar eclipse, and the previous solar eclipse low actually kind of was support, right? So now it did make a new low. Really, these shouldn't count anymore, but I'm going to leave them here since it didn't close down there. So again, you can see the zone is coming in. 45 over was the low. 135 over is the next, or excuse me, dang it, sorry, is right in here, and that's where it changed trend. So I like all that setup. 90 degrees is, of course, key to me, just like this one. And here's Cintas. Again, the chopper of choppers. Solar eclipse closed, solar eclipse closed. So we are sideways for a year, right? So again, no surprise that we're just trading around. And if you followed all my videos, which I recommend, go back and look at them all, because I'm trying to teach you how, by example, either one, how to create a system like this, but also how to use the options and actually trade on them. You know, there's people out there saying options are no good. They're full of crap. They've never traded them. They don't know what they're talking about. I mean, I'm showing you with proof and actually going through, taking my time for free to show you how to use these options and how it works. But you can see that, again, Cintas had a 40 grand, a 20 grand trade up, a 20 grand trade down prior to the system. Now, the system sold it down here because it started it right at the low, so the first trade was a loser. But you can see that, you know, after 40 grand of up and down, or 20 grand up and down twice, right? You know, it's logical that we're going to trade sideways. I mean, it just makes sense to me. So a period of rest. So I think we'll trade sideways, and eventually a year from now we'll make a new high in Cintas. Again, it's a BlackRock stock, right? So they protect it. Again, it's just a fire extinguisher and laundry company, for Christ's sakes. I'm going to show you this chart because this is the one that I've been keeping track of. It's the new Trump. You can see we did not make a new low and missed it by 5 points. So again, they'll turn this thing long up here. I'll actually, right, got to get up to here, right, to turn the short-term trend, and then the long-term trend will go long here. By Friday, though, well, yeah, it'll be here, right, the stops, which is on the eclipse. So I have a hard time taking that. I would wait and make, be buyer here, get above this solar. Now, if you're picking bottoms, which a lot of people like to do, this is, they don't have any options. And again, the reason why I'm bringing this up too, it's 90 days. Now, again, it trades 24/7, 7 days a week. But the high was in the moon period of the 21st, which was a quarter moon, which we're on right now. So again, I just think that's a low possible. And if the trend changes, you go with it. Now, again, don't guess. Okay. Now let's go through the daily charts. Again, it's about 9:20 in the morning, so we've been open for a while. I believe this is a 10-minute delay, but on the quotes. So, but you can see NVIDIA, NVDA, gapped higher, still kind of in this coil, right? So again, you can't sit there and say, oh, it's a bear for sure. We do have some timing from the high, then these big X's are the highs, either one of these, right? So you can see that, now it could be a low here. I'll move that down. But these two highs here kind of held the high. So until we make a new high, I'm going to be assuming that it's still bearish. And I'm going to wait for it to tell me. Now, in Meta, I tried to buy this trade, but the puts and or the calls on this bear trap were too much for me. It was like $1,300, so I had to move it to something else. But it was a great trade. You'd have been out already this morning. You would have doubled your money for sure on the gap. So now you can see we're 44 days over was the low, right? Now, again, let's go back. Yeah, 66 market days over from the secondary event will be pretty important. 11 days over is today from the low on the video. So again, you got to be a little cautious. Now the gap, if it follows through tomorrow to the upside, that's positive. Meta is also 11 days over with a gap up. Now again, still caught in this pennant pattern. Also 44 over was this low, which again was that trap. And I remember the calls. I looked at them and I just couldn't afford it. They were around $1,300 for one strike. I believe a $5 call was $1,300, which had 29 days left. I just didn't have that money, so I had to leave it alone. And here's the Coke trade. We did make a new high and went long here. I don't know if I would have personally taken that trade. Again, I would rather buy the dip if you're going with the trend. And again, we're 11 days over, obviously, from this little spike low, which was April 7th. So pretty key in the future. But, it won't go real bearish until we knock out this double sequence of old highs back in the annuals. Here you can see we did pop this market higher. I'm going to put both of them on both sides here because to me, that way I don't know. If it closes lower, we have a big some outside reversal. I think it's still a high. But you can see we're up against this. Again, a coil pattern, 11 days over. So the key is going to be the close. We did gap higher. All these are showing gaps. The S&P right now is up 3%. So again, it's pretty important to know where we're at on the big indexes. I think the Nasdaq's up a little more than that. But again, here we're 17 days over, which all these are. So again, today's important, right? Today is 17 days over from the solar eclipse. Now again, I consider the solar the beginning, the zero, or the counting day. So the 0 day. Again, you don't start counting from 1. You got to have an insert place. So anyway, this is also 11 days over on most of these stocks. So again, pretty key day. And the gap up is bullish until proven otherwise. You always go with the gaps. If it closes crappy, you might be getting spun. Or if tomorrow it closes crappy and fills in the gap, you go, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that. But again, you always should go with the gap on timing. Now, if there's no timing, no big deal. Here is Apple. Again, just kind of here and there. The solar eclipse is up here ways, so obviously I think we can get into this previous and last solar eclipse zone right in here. I think that makes sense. The downtrend line's up here, so if it takes some time, it makes sense too. If it took a month to slowly chip her up. Here's Tesla. And again, you can see it has a coagulating bottom. I like this a little bit. I like it if it makes new lows too, because that would be a little bearish to me, and that'd be cool. I don't matter to me which way it goes as long as it moves. That sideways action we're having right now is a good pause. 30 days of sideways, man, that's perfect. Now this is a toughie. Had a bear trap, poof, immediately rallied. God, we're almost at the previous highs. It's just a tough one to me to be. It's just a tricky one. I'd probably stay out of that market. Options only for sure. ED, kind of the safe play. One of these that I think will probably make new highs if it's going to shortly. Adobe, the bears. Again, you can see we do have some timing in here off the highs. Plus what? We're 11 days over. from that low, which I didn't put in there, but and 17 over from the solar. So pretty tough for me to get to be a buyer of this ugly trend. And we're down about halfway, 50%. So pretty key. 48.1 right down here, 48.1%. So just a tough one to really pick or do anything. Now here, this says IBM. We're above the solar eclipse. Again, that was one of the safe plays that actually kind of was tricky, right? This big gap up was stupid. IBM have their own AI, and they get gaps all the time. You are crapping me. Fire that, whoever programmed that AI. Now, unless they want gaps, right? That's the thing. They want that volatility. So we had 3 highs, which I like as a bear. We did fill the gap down here, got back to the previous solar eclipse, which was support, right? So now we're trading above this last solar eclipse. And again, it looks like to me it's definitely possible this was one that could make new highs. Again, it's different than some of them, made new highs and had a pretty long-term break, almost 2 months. 2 months for sure to make new highs, and again, another 2 months. Make new highs, down another 2 months, right? So again, that's how it trades, right? That's history. Different than some, you get new all-time highs. A lot of times you only get a 2 to 3 day break, not an IBM. That's why it's important to know your history. Again, here's Bank of Magellan. Just a kind of again, a safe play supposedly, but again, it also had a pretty good break. So again, resistance is the solar eclipse close, and it could go up and try to poke that out a little bit, I would think. But again, I would hate to be. That's a nice little trap it had, the bear trap down here. I got to the previous solar eclipse right to almost to the button. I believe the low of the solar eclipse was 70.52, and this one was 70.46. So it took it out by a few points. So again, a nice a trap kind of, and again, if you'd have bought it here, you might have been too soon, but you're probably still profitable if you bought calls there, if you spend enough time. Yeah, here was another one, Procter & Gamble safe play, a chop of chops. I would again had a bear trap, which is a buy. If it has a new high, I think it's a sell. I just think you got to trade this. Now it eventually might chop higher, but again, you can see that this market, I guess it's overpriced. Again, it just seems to me that's a little overdone based on whatever the fundamental guys think it should be worth. Again, here's a gap up, kind of a new swing high. JP Morgan, the diamond, it's back to the solar eclipse range right now. We're above the solar eclipse close, but we're in the range of that day. So again, pretty tough for me with timing. A high from 1986, 11 days over, 17 over from the solar, 44 also off the high. I have a hard time buying strength on JP Morgan today. This gap to me is a little confusing. So I would either stay out or. Now the system don't care about that. Of course, the system is going to have to go up some more to get long, but it might be one that kind of an ABC correction type of deal to maybe buy some puts on as a trade. Here's Coinbase, one of the trades we put along and bought calls. You can see we're 11 days over on this gap. This is the opening back in 2021 is the first day of a trade on the 14th. Now, I could have brought it down here, but I'm going to leave it because it did have a 1 day break, and it was an important high, right? And you can see once we accelerated through it, right, it made sense that this was a big bar and a good close and a gap up. Makes sense to me, and that's why I left it here as a reminder that that was an important level, and it did succeed. I might move it down later just because it looks weird, but anyway, kind of a tough buy here. It's been Coinbase was down 55% or 56%, I believe, to this low. So, well, 60%, I guess. Whatever it was. 59. So call it 60% down to this low, which is 150 back up, right? If you look at it in reverse. So pretty key. You can see the solar eclipse here, and the previous solar eclipse is right here as well. So it kind of just trading sideways, right? All this, of course, halfway back up against these old lows is a logical target somewhere in here, right? Makes sense to me that could be it. Now the high was well, I didn't put these in there, but this last high was on the 6th, so 5th, 6th. So again, May 5th, 6th will be kind of important to me to be watching. Actually, all the 6s, right? I think I put the, I guess I put it here. Anyway, this is just important, right? This is kind of a nice looking bottom. I like the trap, the acceleration. I like this call that the system bought. I don't mind that at all. Cintas, the chopper, again, it made prior to the system. When I was doing the trial period, I made a 20 grand up, made 20 grand down, which 40 grand total in 2 trades, and now it's losing money on the chop. It makes sense to me, right? It's a logical trade. I have a hard time, just buying strength in Cintas. I think if you're long-term bull, because it's in the BlackRock category, I think you got to buy like these dips, right? 2-3 day dips, or find these big volume days. Turn on your volume. If it's a big volume day, you might want to entertain buying a call and exercising it if you want shares, that kind of thing. So now we got to, let's go to the S&P. This is the futures. Again, kind of similar, right? We're 18% off the close, and we are 22% off the highs. So again, it had a nice corrective move, and currently from the year's close, December 31st, we're down 7%. I mean, that's nothing. That's people get all wound up like it's a big event. It's already, if this is a bear, we haven't even gotten going yet. The Dow is down 6%. So currently, right, off this from the from the year end of last year. So again, that ain't nothing. Let's see. NASDAQ down 22% to the lows, and currently we are down 10%. So a little more bearish. Of course, it was a lot higher, so it makes a little more sense that this is now more of a bear. You can see it hasn't violated. I don't know if it's violated anything. Let me look. Right on it, pretty much. So you can see that this is resistance on the NASDAQ. Let's go look at the QQQ, which is kind of similar, not quite, but you can see that we are above it on the QQQ with a gap above it. So that's kind of important, right? This low, which now is a low, we didn't know that at the time. 11 days over though, but that gap is pretty important. It shows it here. So 17, to me, big reversals are key in timing, but the most important one is gaps. So if you get gaps on timing, that's pretty key. I can't sell that, that's for sure. And maybe even, maybe a guy could, definitely I could see, if it breaks back and fills in these gaps, maybe, or even have a trap down here, which is my preference. At some point down the road, May, whatever, somewhere down here, probably this area, I'd be a definite buyer as a longer term trade. Now, again, I would use options only because you don't know. All right, I'm going to quit now. Thank you, and be careful trading. I will see. I'll update you on X if we have any other trades than the NVDA or the Coinbase COIN and the Coke that we had KO. All right, thank you. Have a great rest of your trading week.